What's up, YouTube? Today I'm here with a very special guest. She was the voice of Ring of Honor, and now she's making her own voice on independent scene. It's Quinn McKay. What's up?
Hi. Oh, I'm just like nursing my wounds from last night. Got kind of a beat down at MCW. You were there, you saw.
No, it was something. What are you drinking right now? Nice mug also.
Thank you. It's a cactus. I was born in Arizona, and so I have like a kindred spirit with the desert, I think. Just because, I romanticize it, having known that I lived there for 2 years and moved away. I know nothing about living in the desert. It's just coffee. I'm a coffee addict, a caffeine addict, if you will. I drink coffee in the morning and then Red Bull at shows, and it's just to keep me going. Otherwise, I have this fear that I'll just like keel over and die.
Fair enough. I'm big on caffeine as well, so got to drink it. But last night you were at MCW, challenged for the women's championship. It wasn't necessarily that successful, not because of you, it was because of some other people interfering, Gia Scott and Megan Vane. How was it like being in the ring and challenging for a championship?
It was really great. Super nerve-wracking since I haven't actually challenged for a championship since before I was in Ring of Honor. Like I was in the Ring of Honor women's division tournament for Quest for Gold, but I only made it to the quarterfinals and then Roxy beat me. So I haven't actually challenged for a championship or been that close to one since before I even got signed to Ring of Honor, when I won this actually.
Actual championship?
CWA with Super 8 in 2018.
Nice. Big trophy. Nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's like as large as me, man. It's huge.
Do you keep like a lot of like your like wrestling momentums like in your house?
No, that's the only one that I have, and I didn't expect to win that, just this giant ass pink trophy, but it is a very good conversation piece, and it lives upstairs in like my bar/entertainment area. But it is like literally as big as me. Like, what can I do with it? It just kind of has to sit on the floor in its own space.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big trophy, so I'm sure it's definitely catching eyes when people walk in. But how's it been like wrestling now, like on the independent scene, like kind of getting back into being like an in-ring wrestler rather than just like an interviewer for Ring of Honor?
It's been amazing because whenever I started at Ring of Honor, like I was invited to the Ring of Honor dojo by Jonathan Gresham, and I was there to wrestle, and I got hurt, and then they were like, we have this opportunity. Sorry, that's my dog in the background. You can probably hear his ears flapping around.
Oh yeah.
But they had this opportunity for me to be a backstage interviewer, and they found out that I had a radio broadcasting background and a communications degree, and I was like, yeah, I'd love a shot. So they did it, and then it was kind of off to the races, and it took like 2 entire years for us to circle back to me like making my in-ring debut, which was always the plan, but it kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back because of one thing or another, and then a whole pandemic happened. And the pandemic happening might actually have been one of the better things for my in-ring career, as awful as that is to say, just because I finally was given the opportunity. We hit like a hard reset on the women's division in Ring of Honor. It gave everybody time to really collect their thoughts about the kind of product that we wanted to put forth into the world. And I think that Maria Kanellis and Bobby Cruz really hit it out of the park. They had it was a home run, honestly. So that was really excellent. But being back on the indies now and actually being able to wrestle and like not showing up in a bow tie to hold a microphone, as much as I love that part of my job because I fell in love with it. I put forth 100% effort. And it really became part of like my identity as a wrestling personality. Being able to actually wrestle, like that's what I wanted to do. So especially going to places like NCW, and I've worked with NEW, and then being able to go back to my hometowns, like back in Missouri, and wrestle for like Journey Pro and stuff like that has been super cool. And last night didn't technically count as a defeat. The only person to have defeated me on the indies thus far is Megan Vane. And that was in New York City like 2 weeks ago. And that sucked. But other than that, I'm doing very well. So I'm just going to ride this momentum for like as long as I can.
Yeah, definitely. And like watching in the ring wrestling, like I might have seen like one of your matches like previous to you going to Ring of Honor. And like the difference in like, wow, like she definitely is a great interviewer and definitely a great host, but like she can actually wrestle. Okay. That was kind of cool.
Thank you. I try. I've had some really excellent trainers though. I started training in this small school in Arkansas called NSW. And then there was this wrestling startup in Kansas City called NWL that I eventually graduated to training to. And so like that kind of leveled up a little bit. And I made it to the Ring of Honor dojo and I leveled up a lot. But like while people saw me all like buttoned up, with a bow tie and a microphone, I was working every single day to like hone my craft and become a professional wrestler. So it's great to finally be able to see that pay off.
Definitely. And like, I know you wrestled at MCW a few times. I actually used to train there last year before the whole pandemic happened and COVID and everything like that. What's like the reaction you get from like fans like now watching you wrestle in the ring rather than just like being interviewed?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, like what's like the reaction from fans like seeing you actually wrestle now?
I think the fans like it. I think that especially because at Ring of Honor, I was booked as such an underdog and somebody that was like easy to take advantage of and easy to get the jump on. And I was worried that that was going to kind of color people's perceptions of me when I got to the indies, that like I couldn't actually go or that I couldn't actually work. But crowds have embraced me wholeheartedly. And all of my matches in Ring of Honor were empty arena matches. We had Final Battle, and I never actually got to have a match in front of Ring of Honor fans. And that was devastating for me. So being able to go out and get that crowd reaction and like really interact with them is something that I'm kind of learning along the way, because it's not something I have a ton of experience in, but it gets better every single time. They're so great. And I mean, I have the benefit of being just like a huge baby face everywhere. And I have like enough name value that like, even if you don't watch Ring of Honor, you probably have heard of me or seen one of my interviews with some of your other favorite wrestlers. So it's been just phenomenal. The crowds have been great. I've been able to meet a ton of great people while like selling merch and taking pictures and stuff like that. And that's probably the best part of it. I loved being able to wrestle in Ring of Honor in those empty arena shows, but being like, there's nothing that can top a live crowd. There's nothing.
Totally. And like, I want to talk about like you getting into professional wrestling. So I learned that you actually got into wrestling like when you were in high school, like your freshman year. So most people, like when they get into wrestling, like high school is around that time when they kind of like look away from wrestling and find something else. So like, what was it about wrestling that caught your eye at that age?
Well, so I had watched it a little bit with my brother's 15 years older than me, and my sister's 11 years older than me. So whenever they were super into wrestling, when I was little, I'd like sit on the couch and pretend I knew what was going on and like get on the trampoline and try to do like a bunch of stuff. But once they moved out, especially my brother, because he was the big watcher, once he moved out, like I didn't really have that around me anymore. Like, my mom doesn't understand professional wrestling. Well, she does now, and she's fully supportive of me. But at the time, she was like, we don't care. This is not in this household. So, but my freshman year of high school, my family moved like 3 hours away to an even smaller town that I was already living in. And I had to like, that's a very interesting age for teenage girls. Okay. I was 14 at semester. I was transported to this other school that I had like no knowledge of, since it's in like small towns. I don't know if you've had a lot of experience with small towns, but all of the kids have known each other since they were 3 years old in like preschool. So you come in and you're just like this alien basically. And I latched on to this one girl, Mia. She's my best friend to this day. But something that she did every Monday night with her brother was watch Monday Night Raw. And I was like, well, you're my best friend now and you have no choice. And I kind of forced her into it. But I would show up every Monday night and we would eat snacks and we'd watch Monday Night Raw. They weren't big SmackDown watchers. So I didn't even realize SmackDown was really a thing for like a while. Yeah, like specifically a Raw household. And then we'd watch like the big 4 pay-per-views every year too, and do like fun games with them and like, I don't know, not gamble on them, but you know, like make bets and wagers and stuff like that. And it was just something that was a source of comfort for me that I really fell in love with. And I remember women at the time were not getting time to wrestle. Like they were going out for like 2 to 3 minutes, maybe if they were on the show at all. But somebody that I was always really stoked to see was Beth Phoenix, and also Mickie James. Like if Mickie James was out there or Beth Phoenix was out there, I was in heaven. And I think that was the first time that I was like, I want to do that. I can do that. I can be strong and beautiful and athletic and a badass. And I asked my mom actually, because at the time I was living in Eldon, Missouri, and Harley Race's school was there before it moved to Troy. And one big thing about Harley Race's school is that he does not accept high school students. But I asked my mom when I turned 18, I was like, hey, can I wrestle? And she was like, no, you can put yourself through wrestling school whenever you graduate college, which is what I did. I went to college. I started playing roller derby to kind of scratch that itch. And then as soon as I graduated, I started training in Arkansas.
You say you're roller derby?
Yeah, for 8 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's different. Never heard that before. All right, so how was that? Wait, now I got more questions. Wait, how was doing roller derby?
No, roller derby was really great. Again, my brother, who is somebody I've looked up to my entire life, obviously, in my eyes, he's like the coolest of the cool that you could possibly be. And he was a non-skating official. So he ran the penalty box timer and like did different odd jobs during games and stuff like that. And as soon as I moved to Springfield to go to college, which is where he was living, he was like, hey, you should really join the roller derby team. And this was either right before or right after Whip It had come out. So there was this like huge craze around it anyway. Yeah. So I grew up skating. I've been skating on quads since I was like 4, because again, from a small town, literally the only thing to do on the weekends is go to the roller rink. So I came in with like all of this skating ability, and I've always been pretty athletic, and it was just like off to the races. I was so good from like day one in roller derby, and then continued to just get like better and better and better until I was like, now I'm going to take a soft retirement so that I can go try to train to wrestle. And I started to train to wrestle, and I was like, if this doesn't work out, I can always just go back and play roller derby, which doesn't pay money, by the way. And so not professionally, just for fun. But I didn't really think that professional wrestling was going to work out for me so quickly either, because that did not come naturally to me. I went from a sport that I was just like naturally very good at to a sport that I was naturally very bad at. But I love a challenge, and like that's kind of what drives me. So instead of getting discouraged and being like, I'm not sure if this is for me, I was like, I'm gonna make this for me, god damn it. And I did.
Love the energy. So wait, back to roller. Whoa, I'm just shocked for this.
Yeah.
So if you could bring any wrestlers roller derbying with you, who would it be?
Oh, if I could choose like anybody to be on my roller derby team?
Oh yeah.
Maxie and Paler.
Okay.
Heidi Howitzer.
Okay.
Roxy would be an excellent jammer. Let's see. Brooke Valentine would be a super great blocker. Who else? You know what? Tootie Lynn, whose shirt I'm wearing, she would also be a really excellent jammer. Man, these Lady Frost would be really good.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many people that would actually kill it in roller derby. I could go on and on probably. I think Chelsea Green would really good in roller derby too. I think she'd really love it.
That's like a career move I had never thought for any wrestler ever, but now I kind of want to see it. But
there's a lot of crossover from like roller derby to professional wrestling. Val Capone is a wrestling personality, I think based out of Chicago, and she started with either Windy City or the Chicago outfit. So there's a lot of crossover that I think a lot of people don't even know.
Wow, life lessons. Roller derby might be the key to wrestling. Wow, okay.
It is. Well, because like, so roller derby's all a shoot.
Yeah.
There's like nothing's pre-planned. It's 100% like full contact sport, high speeds on skates. I was a jammer. So, towards the end of my career, I started blocking a little bit because like I intuitively became a better blocker because I was a good jammer. Like I knew what my jammers would need. And that's kind of like, well, I don't want to sprint anymore, so I'm going to slow it down. I'm just going to stop other people. And that was very fulfilling. But you do get to like, there's so much personality in roller derby, because one of the first things that you do after you graduate your fresh meet program is pick a new name that you identify with. So I was number 44, the Fabulous Flash. And my mom gave me that name. It was very cute. I love alliteration, obviously. But you like showboat to the crowd, and there's so much crowd interaction. And sometimes they'll do like mashup games where the crowds can actually like donate money for charity or something and like bend the rules and change the rules of the game. So there's so many fun things that you can do that translate so well over to wrestling. Wow.
Mm-hmm. That was a life lesson I just learned all right there. That's crazy.
And a lot of grassroots marketing, because roller derby is typically nonprofit, like they are by the skater for the skater, but it's pay to play. So whenever you have to rent venues or whenever you have to travel, in order to fund that, you've got to do a whole bunch of like grassroots marketing, find sponsorships and stuff like that. So again, just more skills that translate into being at least an independent wrestler.
Wow. I mean, now I kind of want to see you can like set up a whole roller derby like event with pro wrestlers next year. That would be kind of sick.
If I could find out like who could skate, I think that could be fun. Just like a 30-minute like exposition bout or something like that. That would be very fun.
I just want to see like Shane Taylor promotions on skates. That would be the greatest thing in the world. To see Shane Taylor absolutely deck someone, hilarious.
Moses on skates. You know what? I bet he is like an oddly graceful person. He would probably be like way better than Khan. Shane would be terrifying.
Yeah, I'm sure. If I saw Shane Taylor rolling at me, I'm getting out the way, I'm jumping over the banner and just like rolling out the building. Like I don't want that.
I just skate straight out the door. I'd be like, not today. Not today.
Yeah, not today. I hate to transition from this, but I want to talk about like you and Ring of Honor. Like, so when it comes to like your week by week of your entire show, how did you get to that position where you go from like wrestler who's like trained to be a Ring of Honor wrestler to now like, oh, I'm just gonna be a host for this like great show?
So it was kind of an interesting transition because I started as an interviewer. Yeah. And then about, I can't even tell you how long it was, maybe like 5 or 6 months, I showed up to Hammerstein and somebody came up to me and they were like, did they tell you? And I went, did they tell me what? And they were like, you and Ian are going to host the show now. And I went, oh, awesome. When do we start that? And they were like, in 5 minutes, we need you backstage. And I was like, I'm sorry. So I had no prep. I had no material. I had no lines. I went up to Ian. We ran down everything that we were going to have to record for the show. And then just off the cuff kind of did that. And that's the way we did it for a long time. Like no teleprompters. We would get an outline with some bullet points. They'd be like, all right, guys, take it away. And Ian definitely, like, he took me in under his wing. I don't think he was expecting that either. But it was just invaluable to be able to work around him, not only because he's an incredible professional, but he's also an excellent person. So I know that it's not often the case that the people that you work with early on are people that want you to succeed or that want to genuinely help you. And he did. And I was really lucky to be put in that position. But then as we got closer to the pandemic, I started hearing rumors that we were going to build like me a studio at the Ring of Honor Dojo. And I was like, okay, sure. You're going to build me a studio. I'll believe it when I see it. All I do is co-host with Ian. And then all of a sudden, like it went from 0 to 100. We have a new studio. Yeah. I have a deck. I have a background. We had multiple set pieces. And it was just absolutely incredible. And then I started hosting the show myself. And then they started talking about week by week. And that really took off during the pandemic. Like we had started talking about it several months before the pandemic actually hit. But then once it did, they were like, well, we're all at home. Nobody's able to get to work. We need something to be able to bring everybody together so that they know what's going on in Ring of Honor. And we can at least keep putting content out for fans that love us so much. And then I started doing it in my kitchen for the first several episodes. But it was really great. It was not my first time hosting a YouTube show. I'm not going to talk about the other YouTube show that I hosted, but you can probably find it if you dig deep enough. It was just like,
you have to say it now. You're
no, I can't. It was a complete vanity project. Whenever I was doing roller derby, this production studio contacted me and they were like, hey, we really think that you'd be great as like a YouTube host. You can do it about whatever you want. I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about video games and Game of Thrones ad nauseum. And so I did. And it did well for me having like no idea what I was doing and never done it before. It would probably do better now. But yeah, that does exist on YouTube. You could find it if you dug hard enough.
Oh, I hope someone finds it and like drops it. I need to watch that now. Now I've learned roller derby and Game of Thrones host. Okay, cool. This is a lot more than I expected to learn today. Also definitely. And also looking into the whole Ring of Honor career in like the women's division, where did transition come from the Women of Honor division to now just like the women's tournament into the championship? Because I know there was a Women of Honor championship at one point, but then that seemed to transition to just a women's world title.
Yeah. So the Women of Honor division was very touch and go. We would have a match here and there, or we would like bring someone in and they would leave. We had a really hard time with turnover. And I think if not for the high turnover of people's contracts expiring or getting hired somewhere else, then the Women of Honor division probably would have done just fine. It wasn't that the creative was bad. It wasn't that the athletes weren't good. It was just that it was kind of an ever revolving door of people coming in and leaving. And so whenever the pandemic happened, we had already been talking about rebooting the women's division anyway, with a clear directive and a clear goal, and having people under contract that were not going to leave. And we were given the opportunity to actually do that and lay that kind of foundation. But whenever we came back with the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship, we wanted to make a very clear distinction that it was different than Women of Honor. It was not a purple belt. It wasn't a separate show, because there for a while, the Women of Honor was like, just put up on YouTube. Yeah. But that it was part of the actual Ring of Honor locker room and not some separate brand that we were trying to make work. And that was something that I think I really pushed for. That was something that Mandy Leon really pushed for. We wanted the new division to be taken very seriously. And it seemed like one of the best first steps to take to doing that was making sure that people knew that it was not Women of Honor. It was the Ring of Honor women's division. All one company, all one family.
Definitely. And like it went really well. Like the entire tournament was told so perfectly, and the whole Roxy winning the championship. I loved all of it. I watched the entire thing. But in Ring of Honor did a really good job taking care of the wrestlers during the pandemic, from making sure that people like didn't have to, go out there and accidentally catch COVID. How important was Ring of Honor to you during that time?
I mean, it was everything. It was the only reason that I made a living. I was very well taken care of by Ring of Honor. I had a lot of jobs and they compensated me thusly, and it was awesome. They never tried to undersell me or anything. They never tried to undercut me. They never tried to take advantage of me. Ring of Honor was always very upfront with me about the things that they expected of me and like what they wanted to do. And so during the pandemic, I think the best thing they did for me personally, and this was probably not intentional, but whenever I started week by week, I had something to look forward to every week. I had a job to do. I was able to help write scripts and then record a show and then help promote it afterwards. And so whenever the whole world shut down and everyone was just kind of like twiddling their thumbs in their living rooms for 6 months, I had something that I could put my creative efforts into. And without that, I don't know that I would have come out as sane or as successful as I did. So unintentionally, they gave me this huge gift, and I could never be able to repay them for that.
Definitely. And looking into how the hiatus went for Ring of Honor and the announcement for that, how did they present that to the performers? Like, was this like in person, email? Like how did they present it in a way that wasn't so like shocking maybe for like all the other wrestling fans it was?
Do you mean whenever we shut down or whenever the hiatus? Oh, the hiatus.
The hiatus, like Ring of Honor's hiatus.
Yeah, it was on a Zoom call. And it was, we found out right before you guys did. Oh. So like the call ended and the dirt sheets already had headlines about it. So it was like, yeah, we found out maybe 20 minutes before you guys did. So it was just as soul crushing for us as it was for everybody else. And we kind of just all grieved through that together. But no, we didn't have any like heads up or special warning or anything. We do these calls right before we have tapings where it's like a town hall and everybody gets on Zoom and we just run down protocols, COVID safety, match times, stuff like that. And then they just kind of like put it on at the end of the call, and it was pretty devastating.
Oof, man, it's really shocking to hear that happen right before. But I guess like leading into now, is Ring of Honor a place that even though they're not going to like contract wrestlers and have them like stay necessarily, from what it looks like they're going to come back as an independent possibly. Is that somewhere you plan on staying going into 2022?
I am under contract with Ring of Honor until March. Okay. So I'm under contract right up until we come back in April. And I do believe that that's what's planned. We have a big comeback show in April that everybody's very excited for. Haven't heard anything about it yet, obviously, but the fact that it is booked and that it is scheduled and that it is happening is great. I don't know where I'm going to end up after that. I would love to be able to stick around with Ring of Honor, but I will go wherever opportunity takes me. I have a lot of skills and I have a lot of ambition and I have a lot of things that I want to do. So, and I feel like my career has like two different trajectories. Whenever I was an interviewer and a host and a YouTube host, I liked to think that I was not trying to be the Renee Young of Ring of Honor, but I was like, man, this is the trajectory. I could be like Renee because she's fantastic. Everybody knows that. Or I could continue to just get really good at wrestling and become this like amazing wrestler. So I don't know. Lots of opportunities, lots of irons and fires. So we'll see. I think that 2022 is going to be a really exciting year.
Definitely. That was actually my next question, if you were leaning more towards being an interviewer or a wrestler. But I guess now with that answered, who are some opponents you want to face going into next year? Because I know there's a lot of opportunity to face pretty much anyone that can get booked for an independent show, minus maybe people in the WWE. So who's someone that you want to step in the ring with?
So first and foremost, Mickie James. I would just die. I'd love to have a match against Mickie James. I really, really want a match against Kylan King. I think that she's so good. I think she's super underrated. I've never seen her do anything that did not look crisp and professional. Like, I'm in awe of her every time I see her work. I also would really like a rematch with Angelina Love, because I never really got to pay that off at Ring of Honor. And maybe I'll be able to do that at Ring of Honor whenever Ring of Honor comes back. But eventually I would like to defeat Angelina Love after all the hell that she put me through. And then I feel like my Ring of Honor career will have come full circle.
Definitely. And I guess that was actually my last question. Have you and Angelina Love and Manny Leon, have you guys squashed the beef, or is still cooking, still there?
We have. So obviously after the last show at Final Battle, we all hung out, we all had some drinks, there was catering, kind of water under the bridge. We smoothed things over, but that could just be because they knew that they wouldn't have to deal with me anymore. And that might not necessarily be true. So right now we have a tentative truce. Mandy and I had to work together a lot on a lot of things, because she's somebody that does more behind the scenes than I think that anybody knows. So Mandy and I have always kind of had a tepid relationship, whereas Angel and I just completely hated each other. But currently, tentative truce, but anything could happen.
Well, yeah, that sounds interesting. So Quinn, where can they find you on social media, and where's like your next match going to be so people can come watch?
Oh, so you can find me on social media at Quinn McKay on Twitter and Real Quinn McKay on Instagram. I have TikTok now, but I don't post on it. I usually just use it to lurk on things, because that algorithm is insane. And it is specifically tailored to me now, to where it's all like paint mixing videos and people cooking, and then like babies eating things. Not like an interesting timeline, but I enjoy it personally. So you can find me there on Real Quinn McKay as well. And then my next match, I believe, is going to be in New Jersey for Recombination Wrestling. Okay. And that's going to be January 21st or 22nd. It is in my calendar, but it is one of those 2 dates. And then I'll be at AEW the following day.
That's great. And wow, I've learned a lot today. This has been really interesting. Roller derby. Wow. I'm just shocked. Wow. I just want to see Shane Taylor on ice. That's really what I want to do next. But Quinn, thank you for coming on to the channel. I really do appreciate it. Guys, make sure to like, comment, share, always subscribe, and we're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze.